All right. Well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody to what is our final Zoom panel that we've had this summer. We've had some really great sessions, and I'm really excited about this one tonight. We're going to be giving parents a chance to ask some questions, get some answers, and certainly I see we have some students joining us tonight too. We'll let you guys ask us some questions. We'll also talk a little bit about orientation, which starts in just 2 days. We are coming very close to that August 20th start date, and we're very excited. So I want to start off and have everybody give a quick introduction, and we'll start with our Lincoln Trail College employees. And first, I am going to start with Dr. Ryan Gower, who is the Chancellor of Illinois Eastern Community Colleges.
Hey, everybody. I'm really happy to be here with you tonight. I am the Chancellor for Illinois Eastern Community Colleges, but before I left that job, I was in a much better job there at Lincoln Trail serving as the president. So I appreciate you having me here tonight.
All right. And then we've got Dean of Instruction, Brent Todd.
Hey, everybody. My name is Brent Todd. I'm Dean of Instruction, and in general, I oversee the curriculum and the schedule.
I will introduce for her, but Julie Higginbotham, who is our Associate Dean, is having some microphone troubles tonight, but she is joining us as well, and you will see her pop up in the chat from time to time. Todd?
I am on the phone.
Oh, okay.
I called in, so I am on the phone.
Okay, well,
I'm listening.
If you want to continue the introduction.
Oh, well, all right. I'm the Assistant Dean of Student Services, and I oversee admissions and records, advising, and financial aid.
All right. And Tana, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Tona Ambrose, and I'm the Director of College Access at Lincoln Trail. I also get to teach several of our Pathways to Success courses, and I will look forward to hopefully having many of you in my classes this fall.
All right. Amber?
Hi, I'm Amber Malone, and I'm an administrative assistant for student services, but I will be oftentimes the first person that students see when they come in the door. My window is immediately to the right, so if students have any problems, they can always stop by the window, or parents, you can give me a call.
Okay. And Cyndy?
Hi, I'm Cyndy Boyce. I am a assistant professor at LTC, and I teach history, political science, and philosophy. So if you were taking any of those courses this fall, you will have me.
All right.
I'm also the Student Senate advisor. Sorry, I should add that. So.
I don't think I've missed anyone else from Lincoln Trail, but just a quick introduce myself. I'm Chris Ford. I do the marketing for Lincoln Trail College, and I'm also the director of marketing for Illinois Eastern Community Colleges. And I see we've got a pretty good group here tonight, so I'd love to have everybody else take a moment to introduce yourselves and let us know who you are. So anyone that wants to just jump on, feel free and say hi.
But not all at once. I mean, take your time.
Kaylee, since you got on first, I think you should introduce yourself first. You got the award for being early to class tonight.
Okay, well, my name's Kaylee Hardig, and I'm just hoping to get for my generals.
Okay.
And I see Chad Weaver is filling in for Andrew tonight.
I select I'll go next. I'm Nicholas Brown. I'm no idea what I'm doing, but I'll wing it.
I think we can all relate to that sometimes a little bit, that we have no idea what we're doing. Does anyone else want to introduce themselves? So if not, we'll go ahead and jump into the program here tonight. And I want to start off talking about something that is certainly on a lot of people's minds. And Ryan, I'm going to direct this one at you to start off with. Obviously, this has been a year like no other. And the pandemic really threw a wrench in a lot of things, and there's still a lot of questions. So what is Lincoln College doing this fall in response to COVID-19?
How long do we have? I'll hit some of the highlights. Obviously, just like for all of you students, when March 19th hit and we all had the shelter in place, life for all of us changed. And ever since then, I feel like the entire faculty and staff of Lincoln Trail and really all of IECC has been working from that day forward. Part of it was to get through the spring term, but most of it was just to lay the groundwork for the plans for returning to school this fall. So what you're going to see at Lincoln Trail this fall is really a mixture of approaches in the classroom. Number one, we knew that the majority of our students wanted to come back for face-to-face learning. So we established that as a priority, that we want to make sure that within the guidelines that were given by the Illinois Department of Public Health, that we will have face-to-face instruction. And so you'll see that at LTC this coming fall, there will be some courses that are delivered face-to-face just like they were before the pandemic. Now, obviously, in those classes, Dean Todd and Jackie Shamhart have done a lot of work making sure that we are keeping class sizes small so we can allow for social distancing, or we're doing other structural changes to the classrooms. Sometimes that's moving into a larger area. Sometimes it's making sure that we've got good cleaning protocols in place. You're going to see some of our classes, Chris, that are going to be what I call a flex model, where students will be face-to-face some days, online, or joining remotely other days. Obviously, just like we do any other term, we do have some classes that are going to be a hybrid, and some classes are going to be fully online. So we're trying to be as flexible as possible to accommodate both the needs of our faculty and staff and the desires of our students to have that personal learning experience that LTC is so well known for.
All right. And obviously you mentioned, social distancing and all that. As far as, maintenance, cleanliness and all that, are there going to be extra protocols in place there to make sure that the environment is clean?
Yeah, there's been, that's a good question, Chris. We've actually had quite a few changes to our operations and maintenance schedule. Typically, our custodial crew comes in and they're there late evenings, and so they're typically cleaning after all the students have left the building. But in light of everything that's going on, we've got a much more rigorous cleaning schedule that's going to be happening really from 8 a.m. to 5 in the afternoon. And so every 2 hours, high-touch areas are going to be cleaned. One of the things that students, when you come to your first face-to-face class, you might notice there's a spray bottle and paper towels at your area. We're just making sure that we've got not only our staff going to be involved in making sure that the facilities are clean, but we're also going to be relying on our students and faculty to make sure that they are taking precautions for themselves before they sit.
And what about masks? Will students and faculty and staff be wearing masks, or is that going to be something that is optional for people? How will that work?
A little bit of both. We need to follow the Illinois Department of Public Health guidelines on this. So this was a requirement that is not our choice, but we certainly understand and respect the science behind it. Some of our classes where social distancing is not possible, students will be required to wear masks, and that, again, is per the IDPH guidelines. There are going to be some classrooms where social distancing is possible, and if you are able to make 6 feet of distance between yourself and the other students in the class, masks are not required in those settings. However, the thing that I will say is our faculty are going to be given full discretion over their classrooms, and so if the faculty members are directing students to wear masks in those environments, the students will need to do so.
Is there anything else that students should be prepared for when they come back to class?
The thing that I would say is we spend a lot of time focusing in on all the changes and what's going to be new. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, a lot of that is not positive. The thing that I want to encourage you all to focus on is the things that's always been good about Lincoln Trail is still going to be at Lincoln Trail, and that's our people. That's our faculty. They're here to take care of you. They're here to work with you. So I think, it is going to be different. Yes, there's going to be some changes in the environment, but I would encourage all of you, rather than focusing on those things, focus on the things that are really good and the reasons why you're at Lincoln Trail in the first place.
And Ryan, one of the things I'm going to do right now is I am going to share my screen because I want to make sure that the people joining us tonight know that they can find our Back to Campus plan and other information about COVID-19 on our website, which if you go to iecc.edu, you'll see it. We have our COVID-19 information and updates. And then if you click on that, you can find our Back to Campus plan on here, along with a number of other questions that people have had throughout the really past 5 months or so. But you can go and you can find our Back to Campus plan. It is broken down into a number of different categories, but all that information is online and available for anyone to see. And again, the website, iecc.edu. With that said, I kind of want to jump around, and we'll have the opportunity to go back if people have other questions about COVID and our response to that. But Brent, I want to talk to you a little bit about, as we get ready to start classes on August 20th, what can students expect?
All right, thanks, Chris. Thanks for the question. I've been working with the faculty all summer long, and we do have, fortunately, we have a very innovative group of faculty that have come up with some pretty unique plans. I'm gonna switch up your question here just a little bit and actually answer it in a different way. The advice that I would give to our students is to, one, make sure that you are checking your Canvas accounts. And if you're not aware, Canvas is our learning management system. So even if you're in a face-to-face course, I would check those Canvas accounts, because our faculty are providing updates to students as to what the X are for their classes. The second piece of advice that I would give is that our students should definitely show up on that first day. Hopefully that's not advice I really have to give, but I know sometimes that's important. On the first day, and we have Cyndy Boyce here, I know she's doing some very innovative things with her classroom, and she's going to be providing instructions to her students on the first day about how she's hybridizing her classes in the event that a student would have a family member, for instance, that is COVID positive. They're still able to participate in the class even though it's face-to-face. So we've come up with all sorts of interesting instructional and pedagogical components to our classes so that students can successfully finish the semester.
So I want to ask Cyndy, because you did talk about kind of some of the unique things that Cyndy has done in her classroom, and one of the things is once you get to college, the situation, what classes look like is a little different. And Cyndy, your classroom has a really unique setup and how you teach your classes. So talk a little bit about how you bring into place this collaborative learning and what that's all about.
All right. Basically, in my classroom, the setup is a little bit different. When you walk into my classroom, instead of a teacher-centered classroom and instructor-centered, it is centered. So instead of rows of tables that all face the front of the classroom, you will see that there are television screens on the walls, and then rounded tables that seat we can seat up to 5 people at each table. We won't be doing that this semester, but normally we can seat up to 5 people at each table, and they face the computer screen. And in my classroom, instead of listening to me lecture 3 days a week for 50 minutes, it'll be just one short lecture to introduce the topic at the beginning of the week. And then we watch some videos and different things like that. And then the students really just do a lot of hands-on work. In my history classes, for example, students will get online and as a group work together to analyze the primary source document and answer a series of questions and things like that. There's different activities that we do throughout the semester, and you do all of those things together as a group. The point of the collaborative learning is one, students tend to be more apt to ask questions when they're in smaller groups. If you're in a classroom with 30 other students and you have a question, sometimes it's a little, for some students, it's embarrassing to raise their hand and ask a question in front of everybody. You don't want to be that one student, but when you're broken down into smaller groups and you're free to talk amongst each other, students tend to ask questions more often. They sit in their groups and then they talk, they debate, they discuss, and they work together to come up with solutions instead of just sitting quietly and listening the entire time they're in class and never getting the questions they may have asked or answered. The other point of collaborative learning is while you're working on collaboratively on your assignments and different things like that, you're actually learning some soft skills that you need in the workplace. Okay, when you graduate from college, studies were done. Ryan, you'd have to chime in and tell me when these were done or where. I can't remember now. I should know the answer to this. But studies were done that one of the problems that employers had with recent college graduates was that college graduates didn't have any soft skills. What we mean by that is a lack of ability to work as a team, the lack of the ability to communicate properly with their coworkers and with management and other things. Just those things that are so important in the workplace. Okay? And so by working this way in the classroom, you're actually learning some skills that you're going to need in the workplace. Take, for example, all of us that you see here, we all work together every single day. We have to ask questions. We have to work together on projects. We're on committees, and we work together on those committees. And we're all from different departments, but yet we have to communicate and collaborate with each other. And so if we didn't have these skills, it'd make what we do at LTC very difficult. Okay, and anywhere you guys get a job, and most of you probably have a job right now, you work somewhere, and wherever it is you're working, you know that you have to learn to get along with other people and to communicate with them to get things done. And so that's what we're doing in the classroom. So that's my overall collaborative learning, Chris.
Okay.
This semester, we've added new technology. So if you are in my class, which I recognize several names on here, I know Chad Weaver, that I have your son, Nick Brown. I think I have you a couple of times. I recognize a couple of names here from my roster. So what we will have this semester, and what I'm doing that Ryan was kind of discussing in my classrooms, is that I have a few classrooms where I only have like 9 or 10 students. So we're going to kind of leave it up to you. If you guys want to be face-to-face, that is fine. But what we've added in my classroom this semester and in one other classroom is the ability for you to Zoom into class live. Okay, so in the back of my classroom, there is a television screen, this giant 75-inch TV, and a camera that follows me around the classroom. So as I'm in the classroom talking and lecturing or discussing things and giving out assignments, you will be on the TV screen in the back of the classroom if you do not feel comfortable coming to class. Okay, so what Ryan was talking about with us having the technology this semester with you to be able to Zoom into class, be at home, or if you have somebody in your family that gets sick and you need to quarantine and stay at home, you don't have to miss class. Okay, you can just stay at home and Zoom in. What I am requiring is that it's not going to be like an online class. You actually have to, if your class is at 8 a.m., you have to get up at 8 o'clock and Zoom in live to the class at 8 a.m., like just as if you were sitting there in person. So, and somebody's walking by, so now my dogs are going to say hi. So that's kind of what I'm doing. You'll see it all when you get into the classroom. So.
All right. Julie and Amber, and I'll kind of leave you guys to decide who wants to answer this question. And this is one, I think a little bit about the difference between how things work in high school and how things work in college. And in a lot of cases, parents have been used to in high school having a lot of access to their child's grades and schedules and all of that. Talk a little bit about how things are a little bit different with that in college.
We are governed by FERPA, which means that basically the student is an adult. And so we can discuss anything with the student about their academics, their billing, their financial aid, but we really can't discuss anything with the parents unless we have a release on file. So as the students come into the building, I'm the first window on the right-hand side. They can stop by, they can fill out a form, and they can decide if they'd like to give access to their parents or guardians or their coach or anyone else the access to talk about financial aid or to talk about billing, and those can be individually sorted out. So if your parents work very closely with you, or maybe you have a family member that works very closely with you on your college application and then your college bills and those types of things, you have that student access. So make sure that your students are aware of that they would need to come by and sign that before you call. I know some of the parents I've already talked to. I think Mr. Coons, I've already talked to you. And so, I can give generalities, but if you want to talk about specifics about your student, you do have to have that release on file.
Okay. Julie, anything you want to add to that?
No, she did that perfectly. Good job, Amber.
Brent, I want to go back to you a little bit, and I'm thinking back to my own college experience and something that I heard from my parents when I went through orientation. My parents were going through a separate orientation, and the president of the college talked a lot about academics and how things change for students. Is it unusual for students to change their mind once they get to college on what they do? And is that something that's okay to happen?
Yeah, so the statistics, of course, change all the time, but the last stat I saw is that the average student changes their major 3 times. So it's not uncommon to do that. And in fact, I think it's a good thing because what we want you to do is when you graduate to be prepared for whatever that next step is. Many of our students go directly into the workforce. If they earn a CTE credential, a lot of them go to 4-year universities. Whichever path they take, we want them to be set up to be successful. So it's certainly okay to change your major, especially during that first year or two. I actually recommend that students take classes in different fields that they might be interested in. For those students who are wanting to transfer to 4-year universities, you're probably going to take courses that are more what we call Illinois Articulation Initiative, or IAI courses. These are things that are guaranteed to transfer. They're your gen ed courses that you're kind of getting out of the way, quote unquote. But even within those, I encourage you to take a variety of courses to see what kind of options are out there. The thing that I always find interesting, and I wish somebody would have told me this when I was starting college, is that whatever you want, whatever major you choose, there are jobs out there. It's not always the case where you can live in your hometown and have that job, but if you're really passionate about a subject, there are jobs out there. And so the best advice I would give students is to explore your options and just realize that there are opportunities, so follow your passions.
Okay. Tana, I want to bring you in again and have you talk a little bit about what orientation is going to look like this year as we get ready to start that in 2 days.
Yes. Okay. Orientation, like Chris just mentioned, is going to look different this year because our freshman orientation is one long day, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we talk about everything that we think students need to be successful when they are coming into college, transitioning out of high school for another job and into college. And so we're going to offer these online, and you should be signed up for a section already, a day and a time. And it will be 2 hours on Zoom, just exactly like we are right now. It will look very similar to this. And we will go over a number of pieces of information. Again, items that we think will help you to be successful. And in addition to our Zoom session, there will be a few things that you'll need to complete on your own in a Canvas class. If you happen to see your schedule and if you can log into Canvas already, that's titled Gen 1103. That's the name of our orientation class. And so that is where you'll find those tasks that need to be completed. And then finally, we offer a class at Lincoln Trail, and it is CIS 1104. And really, that's a class that we encourage all of you to take, and it helps you to understand and learn our online learning management system. And it's what you'll be using in all of your classes. And so that has several modules to it. Easy, but it will take a little bit of time to just sit down and go through that, just to teach yourself how to use Canvas. And so that's really what orientation will look like. It's 3 parts. It's our Zoom meeting together. It's a few tasks that you'll need to do within the Canvas orientation class. And then it's also completing the CIS 1104 portion of the orientation. And those 3 pieces together, once you've completed all of those, you will be ready to go and we'll be ready to have a strong start when it comes time for August 20th to roll around and it's your first day of class. We believe that what we're going to go over, what we're going to talk about, will be completely ready to start school on August 20th.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, I want to go back to you, and I want to talk a little bit about something that you and I were talking about a little bit earlier today. And, as students are getting ready to start college, and I think, it's probably good for parents to hear this too, to maybe encourage their children. But really, college is one of those things where it's the experience you make out of it. So talk a little bit about the importance of getting involved in college. And Cyndy, I'm going to have you talk a little bit about this too from the Student Senate perspective.
That's a great question. And actually, I thought Dean Todd did a really good job explaining the fact that in a lot of ways, I heard Kaylee say this at the beginning. She was looking at coming to Lincoln Trail to take the generals. And, those general education courses are there to be exploratory, to help you figure out the different disciplines and subjects that you might have interest in that you otherwise wouldn't have taken. And so you're absolutely right, Chris. One of the things that I and I remember, I know I'm an old man now, but I remember being, a younger person and going into the college classroom, and it can be intimidating to raise your hand, and it can be intimidating to go up to the instructor after class and to ask a question. But I would encourage all of you, as Chris said, your college experience is going to be what you make it. And one of the reasons why I hope you selected Lincoln Trail as choice for college is that we are a small college, that we do take pride in getting to know our students, to know who they are, what they're interested in, what they like. That really only happens if you engage with us. We need you to come up and talk with us, and we need you to take that initiative. So I'd encourage all of you, and I hope Cyndy's a great ambassador to have with us here tonight. Our faculty are not here to teach for 50 minutes and then walk out the door. They really care about our students. So get engaged. And then, the other things, and I think I can say this safely, is so much of the learning that happens in college happens outside of the classroom. The material lecture is great, but what you do in the extracurricular activities, getting engaged in Student Senate, getting engaged in Phi Theta Kappa, stepping outside of your comfort zone and coming to one of the musical productions or choosing to attend one of the athletic events with some of your peers, those are really important parts of the college experience. And so I understand what it's like when you're new and maybe you only know a few of the people in the school, but I would encourage you to step outside of that comfort zone and try new things when you're here with us.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyndy, if you want to add on to that, I guess also, not only from the Student Senate perspective of getting involved in extracurriculars, but, again, talking a little bit about the that real personal education that Lincoln Trail College does such a good job in delivering?
Okay. First off, to kind of go along with what Ryan was saying there, I would definitely encourage you to get involved. Make the most out of your college experience. And the best way to do that is for you don't just come and take your classes and leave and go home. Again, I know this upcoming semester, we don't know what's going to happen this semester. We don't know how everything's going to play out. We hope that it goes exactly as we plan it out to be. But, the world is kind of upside down right now. But regardless, you should get involved. You should join Phi Theta Kappa if you get the invitation. We are always taking student senate members. You can go see Amber when we get on campus, and you can sign up for student senate. It's Gen 1111. You get 1 credit hour, and it is, Amber, it's free, right? Still free for students in district?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a free credit hour. I mean, you don't get charged tuition to take to be in student senate, and you get 1 free credit hour each semester that you take it while you're at LTC. Join the theater. If we get to have a fall production, or if we have to wait until spring, join the theater. Experiment a little bit. Come to a basketball game. Come watch a baseball game in the spring. We have soccer now, and this year we've added men's soccer. So we have women's soccer and men's soccer. Go out and watch one of the soccer games. Make the most of your experience. I would also encourage you to meet, and that's one of the things I like about my classroom, is because you work in groups, and they're not always your people that you actually get to know people outside your normal friend group. And that's one of the things that's important about college as well, is getting to know people that are new, getting to know people from different places. Student Senate, Phi Theta Kappa, TRIO. If you are eligible to join TRIO, I would encourage that as well. You get to interact with students who are from different states, from different towns, people you may not know, and sometimes you'll meet your best friends in college. So I definitely encourage you to get out there and experiment. As far as classes, I think a couple of you said you're not really sure what you're doing. I went to college knowing exactly what I was going to do. And my sophomore year, I changed majors and added an extra year. Should have graduated in 1994. I graduated in 1995. So when Dr. Gower said he's an old man now, I'm an old woman, we're the same age. So should have graduated earlier, but I didn't, because I changed my major at the end of my sophomore year. And I'm not the only one in this group that's changed majors when I started college, because you get to taking other classes. And then all of a sudden you're like, I really don't like architecture. That's what I started out with. I didn't really like architecture, but boy, do I love my history classes, and I love my sociology classes. And I changed majors because that's where my interest was. So that's, it's good to start at a community college instead of an expensive 4-year university, because you can experiment, and as Dean Todd said, take some different courses in different areas of study, and you might find what you're actually interested in, and you just didn't know it yet. And so that's really important about taking different classes. And the last thing that, what was the other?
Jump in real quick. I think your message of getting involved is really important. And one thing that I would add to that conversation is that Cyndy, Ms. Boyce, oversees Student Senate, and all of our students have the opportunity to create their own recognized clubs on campus. And the process is you actually go to our Student Senate to request to have a club, and the students approve that process. They review your application, and then whatever your interest is, you can essentially create a club for it.
Exactly. We've had, I think the latest one, and some of you might be interested in trying to get this started, COVID kind of got us off track, but we had some students last semester that wanted to start FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And then COVID kind of stopped all of that, so they weren't able to finish the process. So if that's something you're interested in, that's a great opportunity to pick up where they left off. Chris, what was the other thing that you were asking about?
I think
getting involved and something else.
Yeah, getting involved and really speaking up in class and.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I encourage you. Every instructor out there is approachable. We are there to answer your questions. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question in class, definitely stay after class. Utilize our office hours. Stay after class and come up in private and ask your question. But I will tell you that if it's a question that you have, chances are 9 out of 10 other students in that classroom have the exact same question, but every single one of you are afraid to ask. Okay, so be that person. Be that person that raises your hand and asks questions. Nobody's going to look at you like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're asking that. They're going to be like, oh, thank God somebody asked that question, because now my question's getting answered. So, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We are there to help you, and asking questions is part of the learning process. You have to ask questions. You have to get those questions answered, and that's one of the best ways. One of the best ways to learn. So, approach us, ask us questions. Let us know what works for you. Also, communicate. As one of the things you're going to learn in Tana's class, if you're taking Tana's class this semester. She will have you take that VARC test, which is a test to see what type of learner you are. Are you a visual learner? Are you an audio learner? Do you have to be hands-on? Maybe you're somebody who learns best if you read in silent differently. And so you need to communicate with your instructors as well. Hey, you're just having me read these chapters and I'm not really grasping it. Is there something else I can do to help me grasp this information? We're going to help you. We're going to adjust things to try and make sure that you're getting the most out of that experience. So,
all right, Ryan, I want to bring you back on because I know tonight we've got several parents of athletes coming here to Lincoln Trail College, and obviously because of the pandemic, things are looking a little bit different with athletics this year. Could you talk a little bit about how things are changing athletics-wise this year?
Yeah. Again, how long do we have? We could talk a long time. The first thing I want to say is Lincoln Trail College is firmly committed to offering athletics. As a matter of fact, I was just meeting today with an individual who is a candidate to be one of our assistant coaches, and I made sure that this individual knew that we don't at Lincoln Trail, we don't engage in athletics for the same reasons that the U of I or University of Michigan does. Athletics is an extension of our classroom. It's an opportunity for us, as Cyndy was talking about soft skills earlier. It's just another venue through which we have the opportunity to instill in our student athletes the qualities, the skills, the attributes that they're going to need to be successful in life after college. And so for that reason, I never have viewed athletics as something that is expendable. The NJCAA, which is our governing body, different from the NCAA, the NJCAA, probably about mid-July, Chris, issued some changes to the return to play, which essentially is shifting most of our athletic seasons to the spring term. Anything that would have been a fall sport for the most part has been moved over to the spring. Volleyball, for example, is normally a fall sport. Volleyball practice will not begin this year until January 4th. Basketball, which is one of those sports that typically hovers a little bit of the fall and a little bit of the spring, it's going to begin, I want to say somewhere in the second week in January. Cyndy mentioned that we have men's and women's soccer, again, normally a fall sport. That will be a spring sport as well. So there are going to be some changes. Now, that does not mean that in the fall there won't be practices, that there won't be some opportunities for scrimmages. There will be some of those. It's just that most of the competition is going to get shuffled to the spring term. And unfortunately, some of the seasons are going to be a little bit abbreviated. Basketball typically plays 31 to 32 games, and this year they'll be limited to 22. but in reality, I'm just grateful that we still have the opportunity to participate in sports.
All right. Well, we've been the ones doing all of the questions so far tonight, but I know we have some students and some parents that have joined us tonight, and we want to give you guys the opportunity to ask the questions that you have. So if anyone wants to hop in and ask any questions they have, now is the time.
Nobody's gonna ask any questions.
I suppose I'll start off. I have a question. I'm not entirely familiar with the campus itself. How could I find like a map on it or something like that?
That's a great question, Nick. I'll take that question. Do you know if you're signed up for one of our online orientation sessions yet?
Yes. I just looked at campus. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the very first things that we will do in that online orientation is we'll actually take a virtual tour of campus. It's about a 3.5-minute video, and you'll get to see what campus looks like. And then we do have a map attached to that Canvas course, and we will go over the map, and we'll talk specifically about where most of our classes take place and where you can park and where you'll find all the other resources on campus that you need. So that will be one of the very first things that we do in our online orientation class. It's a great question. We don't want to assume that everyone knows where classes are at or buildings are at. Even if you've lived in Robinson your whole life, we do not want to assume that everyone knows where those things are at. So we'll talk about things even as specific as where to park when you come to campus. So thanks for asking that question.
I have a question. So if I'm looking to get a computer, do I need to get a certain like software for that? Like the college, do they like need a certain software on our computers or something?
Natalie, what is your major going to be?
I'm getting my generals, like my associate degree.
So there's nothing specific that you need to get. However, keep in mind that we, all of our computers, most of them, we do use Microsoft products. So as long as you have the Microsoft Office package on your computer that has Word, PowerPoint, Excel, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape. Cyndy, I'd like for you to jump in here as well, since you do use a lot of technology in your class.
I will let you know that IECC, all students at IECC do get Microsoft Office 365 for free. So when you log in to Entrada, so you don't buy that software, is what I'm saying. Don't spend the money to buy the whole Microsoft Office package because it's very expensive. Because if you log in through Entrada, there will be instructions there in Entrada to download and install Office 365 on your computer. So you will have Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Publisher, the whole works. Okay, all students and faculty, staff get that for free. So don't buy that software. I would also tell you that this semester, because we may or may not be online at some point, and even if you are taking an online class, most instructors through IECC are using Respondus Lockdown browser this semester. And we used it during the summer, and we're going to be using it the fall and spring. And to use that, it does not work on Chromebooks. So I'm not going to tell you don't buy a Chromebook, because if that's what you're going to buy, go ahead. But I'm telling you that we may run into some problems with using that software. You will be required to download that software for your online classes, majority of your online classes, but you will not be able to install that on a Chromebook. So that's something to kind of be aware of. I would go, in my opinion, again, it's completely up to you. I would go with a regular laptop as opposed to a Chromebook. And then I think that, as far as the iPads are concerned, or, a Mac, I've had students who have had issues with those and some of the technology that we use in our classrooms. And I think Chris, Chris is kind of like our Mac person at LTC. I always send students to him so he can figure out what's going on with their MacBook, and Chris Ford there usually helps students fix that. But we do run into some problems with Macs as well with some of the technologies we use, not just in my classes, but other instructors as well. So.
And definitely, if you do have a Mac, I am more than happy to help out. I've had a number of students that have stopped by, and I'm always happy to help.
Natalie, I'd like to share two other things with you on that front. There are going to be some courses that you might take in your pursuit of your general education courses that might have different software applications, or it might be a textbook packet that you would need to buy access to, but that would be something that you would navigate as you register. The other thing that I want to make sure that not just you, but everybody on this phone call is aware, one of the nice pieces that we have at Lincoln Trail is our foundation. And recognizing that a lot of our students are buying laptops that otherwise would not have been buying laptops because of more classes being online, or worry about classes, the state of Illinois putting us into another shutdown mode. There are dollars available for our students right now to help offset the costs of computers. So if you were to visit the Lincoln Trail College Foundation website, there is an Improving Lives scholarship there. Typically, the Improving Lives scholarship is for students who are experiencing unanticipated costs, or they need help with childcare. But in partnership with the United Way of Crawford County, we have widened those parameters for this upcoming school year, because we understand that there's a lot of students who are going to need to buy technology that they otherwise would not have bought. And so I want to make sure you know those dollars are out there. And it's not a guarantee that you'll get them, but I would encourage everybody on this phone call, if you are buying new technology, particularly because of one of your classes being moved to an online environment, I would encourage you to apply.
Mm-hmm. And I would also add, Ryan, if you are a student who is eligible for a Pell Grant or student loans this semester, you are able to purchase your laptops. If you need a laptop, you can purchase that through the bookstore. The bookstore will order it for you and have it delivered, and that will be charged to your financial aid. So it'll come out of your Pell Grant or out of your student loans. So if you're having trouble coming up with the $200 or $300, $400, however much money you're going to spend on one, right now to purchase that, you can actually order it through the bookstore and charge it to your financial aid packet. Mm-hmm. So that's an option as well.
And I did put the link for the Lincoln Trail College Foundation in the chat. It's a long URL. It is lincolntrailcollegefoundation.com. It's easy to remember, but I did put that in there if anyone wants to go there and visit the site and learn a little bit more about Improving Lives Scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chris, I'd like to add too that if students don't have a laptop and they are not able to get one or apply to the foundation or know how to use their Pell right away to do that, we do offer computer labs on campus. We have a wonderful library and our academic resource center. All of those places are equipped with computers that are available for students to use. And so if that's something that you just can't get done by the first day of class, no need to worry, because we have plenty of computer spaces available to you for you to use on campus too.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? So before we go tonight, a couple of things that I want to point out. We've had some great information here tonight. And this series that we've done throughout summer, there's been some great information. We have put up the different versions of this, the live recordings of this on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and look at any of those and watch those. We've had some great advice about getting involved. We had performing arts. We had internships and work study opportunities. I know I'm missing another one in there, but we've had several really good ones, so they're available on YouTube. This one will be available on YouTube as well. So if there's something that you want to go back and revisit tonight, tomorrow, This will go online sometime tomorrow morning. So, would encourage you to do that. I am going to share on my screen here a few ways that you can get in touch with us if you need to learn a little bit more. Our website specific for Lincoln Trail College is iecc.edu/LTC. And we are on the major social media outlets. So Facebook, we are Lincoln Trail College. Instagram and Twitter, we are at LTC_IL. And then on YouTube, we are also Lincoln Trail College. And certainly, if you ever have questions, you can call us. And the number is 618-544-8657. So I'll leave this up here for a minute. So if anyone wants to copy that information down. But before we go tonight, I want to go around again with our LTC panelists. And as people are getting ready to start college, what's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's about to start college?
Ooh, that's a good question. Chris, I'll go first.
Don't hesitate.
I'm going to say something that a student just said in a panel discussion that we had a couple of weeks ago. So I'm stealing this from one of my students. And he said, don't leave Lincoln Trail the same person that you came in as. And he was in my class, and he really took to one of the units that we talked about when we were talking about and exploring growth mindsets. And he really liked that. And he just doesn't want to let this experience go by without trying new things, meeting new people, and growing personally. And so I would just steal his advice and share with you to make sure that when you come into Lincoln Trail, your goal is to really leave differently than you came in on your first day of class.
Julie, I think you started to jump in there right as Tana was starting to jump in. So I'll let you hop on real quick.
Yeah, the only thing I can ever recommend to a student is if you have a question, just come ask. Julie Courtney is our switchboard operator. She is a wealth of knowledge. If you don't know who to go ask a question to, go talk to her and she'll point you in the right direction.
Chris, if I can just add to that, I can take off my LTC hat and put on my parent hat, because my son took a class over the summer, and I was amazed at, if he got stumped, he could, text or email his instructor, and they would get back to him like at all hours of the day. So I would say if students are stuck on something, go ahead, send the email, contact the instructor the way that you said that they can, because sometimes they get back to you right away. So don't sit there and stew over something that you can't figure out. Go ahead and send the email, because our instructors are great about getting back with you.
Brent?
So the one thing I would say is that it's worth it, referring to college in general. I loved college. It was some of the best times of my life. And of course, there's going to be some frustrating moments. It's not easy. If it was, everybody would do it. But it's worth it. And when you get that degree in your hand, you're going to look back and be thankful that you finished it. So the course, and we'll be rooting for you.
All right, Cyndy?
I would just add, I guess this is a little bit of, all of my children are out of school now, but I would do the parent and the teacher thing here from both perspectives. And that is that go in on day one, ready to get started. This is not high school anymore. It is not the same style of learning. It is completely different. You have to take a lot of there has to be a lot of initiative. There has to be a lot of responsibility on your part. You are not going to pass your college classes by just coming to class and sitting there and listening, okay? If we told you to read chapter 1, you better read chapter 1. So don't say, well, you didn't tell me that in class. Well, I told you to read chapter 1, So what my point here is that college is different. A lot of the learning is as much on you as it is on the instructor. So therefore, you have to take a lot of responsibility in this process. Time management, you're going to learn that in Tana's class. You're going to learn about time management. In college, it's a lot different. You're going to have a lot of time management to be able to meet those deadlines. And I promise you that the instructors we don't collaborate on this and set all of our deadlines at the same time. But sure enough, at some point in the semester, you're going to have 3 exams on the same day. You're going to have 3 papers all due the same week. It's going to be different. And you have to put in the work. It's not going to be like high school where I can just sit in class every day, listen to the teacher, and then I can ace the test. It's going to be work. So I think I see some heads shaking in there from some of my coworkers there, and so I think we all agree that you've got to put the effort in. So go in on day 1 ready to get started. So.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, if I were to give some advice to the 17-year-old version of myself, I think I would first just let you know there's going to be some times this year when you're uncertain, where you make mistakes. Maybe your mistake was a little bit like my mistake, and I decided to sleep in on a full 2 weeks of one of my classes, and then it became awkward for me to go to that class. You're going to make mistakes, and there's going to be times where you're unsure of what to do. If you're anything like me, your natural reaction is going to be to want to avoid it, to pull back from it, to disengage. And I guess the advice that I would give each one of you is whenever that's the instinct that you're feeling, do the exact opposite. Push into the problem, push into the situation, and get involved and get engaged. Because trust me, I went the other way. I avoided it. I disengaged, and it didn't end well for me. So I would encourage all of you, when you have that moment, remember this, do the opposite of what you feel like doing. Engage.
And I'll tell my own story here too. We talked a little bit earlier about the importance of getting involved. And now I went to college. I was pretty sure what I wanted to do, and I wanted to work in TV. And when I got to DePauw, which is where I went, I spent a lot of time initially thinking that's all I was going to do. And a friend of mine really pushed me into working at the radio station there. And that changed my entire trajectory in life. And I ended up spending 15 years as a broadcaster before I came to Lincoln Trail College. And I would not be where I am today if I would not have taken that chance. So, college is about kind of reinventing yourself, finding new things. And that was great. Something else too, I was talking to my mom about this earlier, and I went to college 500 miles away from home. And she talked a little bit about her experience, because I know we have some parents of athletes that are sending their kids away from home really for the first time. And she said that was hard initially, but she wanted to be there for me, but she also wanted to give me my space so that I could grow as an adult. So, for the parents, obviously you're always going to be supportive of your children, but, you're giving them some independence and let them grow and learn from their new experiences. So we have taken about an hour of your time tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight that has been here. I want to thank everybody from Lincoln Trail College that has participated. Again, you can stay up to date with everything with Lincoln Trail College on our various social media channels and also on our website, again, iecc.edu/LTC. So with that, again, thank you, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you on August 20th.